Introduction to the tech industry. So, in this presentation, we're going to go over what the tech industry is. I'm going to talk about tech companies and how they make money. We're going to go over the most important thing, which is the business model. So, agenda, go over an intro to tech companies, what they do, how they make money, and the different roles within tech and how they support the business. Too long didn't watch of this video is that tech companies basically create software and then sell it. That's it. Businesses need software in order to be able to run efficiently and profitably, and tech companies sell that software to them. So, what do tech companies do? Um, it all kind of boils down to this. Essentially, they create software and then they sell it. And software is usually created with the intention of solving a problem. And the bigger the problem, the more money there is to be made. And there are a million examples of different types of software out there. Um, I'll talk about a few experiences here and later in this program, but at a high level, there's construction software, there's cybersecurity software, there's UX and UI software, there's accounting and finance software, there's office and productivity software. There's basically software for any industry and any type of business out there. And the software is meant to help solve the problems that those companies are having. So, for example, cybersecurity software. I used to sell cybersecurity software. I used to sell that software to e-commerce stores online who, by law, have to protect your credit card information from being stolen. And so hackers would constantly attack these e-commerce companies so that they could try to get some of that information, because if they can steal your credit card information, guess what? They make money. And so our software would protect those e-commerce companies from those attackers from ever stealing your information. And the e-commerce companies can't focus on cybersecurity because they're an e-commerce company. They got to focus on making money and selling their products online. And so they hired us as the software company to sell the software, which then they could implement to gain protection. And so there's hundreds, thousands of examples like this. But long story short, tech companies create software and then sell it. That's it. And how did we get to this point? Basically, what ended up happening is computers and the internet. Anybody in today's day and age can buy a computer and learn how to use it. It's not that difficult. Kids these days, I mean, you'll see 4-year-olds who know how to use an iPhone or an iPad with ease. And so there's constantly new players that are showing up and innovating, and the industry is constantly evolving, getting bigger and getting better. And so if you want to understand how we got here, it's this access to, this wide access to computers and to the internet. But to understand, how, how this whole business model works, what you have to understand is that every successful business out there needs software. So let's run this scenario. Just entertain me for a second and put yourself in this situation. So let's assume that you run a successful clothing store. You have you're the owner, the CEO of a clothing store that has multiple stores in all 51 states in America. You employ hundreds of people, thousands of people, and you're continuing to grow. You want to be the number one clothing store in America. Well, you're going to need various tools and solutions to grow and to be profitable. You can't do it all with paper and pen. You can't do it the old school way. You can't fax things anymore. You want the most modern tools and software to help your business grow. And so here's just a few things that you'll need. You'll need software to pay your hundreds of thousands of employees. Because if you don't have the software, then maybe you'll forget to pay some of your employees and then they'll end up quitting. And then your business suffers as a result. You need software to track the profit and loss, because if you can't track the profits and loss, then are you really even running a business? You need software to track inventory, so making sure that all your stores have enough shoes, pants, shirts, jackets, etc. And if you don't have enough inventory, then you have nothing to sell. So you need software to track this massive amount of inventory. And you also need software for marketing. How are you going to market your brand? How are you going to do social media marketing, email marketing? All these things are required for a business that wants to take over the world, that wants to grow, and that wants to run profitably. And so that's what software does. It allows you to run things more efficiently and cheaper than you would any other way. Otherwise, you start to lose track of things, and you start to lose inventory. You start to lose track of profits. So businesses are dependent on software, and so the demand for software is high and constantly evolving. And so as a result, the tech industry continues to boom. It's not going anywhere. This is just a small example going, back to the retail technology and having your own clothing store. I mean, this is just the current landscape for retail technology, the top 100 tech in 2023 for retail technology, and there are hundreds of different industries and niches for software out there. We can talk about restaurant technology, we can talk about construction technology, we can talk about technology for um, real estate. There's so many different ways that businesses are leveraging technology. And this just goes to show you how just within retail, there's all these little buckets of software, all of which have their own specialty. So things like e-commerce infrastructure, robotic fulfillment, digital content, e-commerce discovery and merchandising, hourly employee tools, unattended checkout. You get the point. And so imagine this multiplied by hundreds, if not thousands, of different industries and businesses out there, and you start to understand the scope of the tech industry and why it's so interesting and why so many people are trying to break in. It touches every aspect of the business world, if not the world. And this is just an easy example that we can all relate to. But a example of a software company would be Microsoft. Microsoft sells many things in today's day and age, but one of their main products is Microsoft Office. So things like Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, Teams. What Microsoft will do is they will sell hundreds of licenses to school districts and organizations. And without Microsoft Office, businesses can't even do the basic stuff like run Excel spreadsheets or email their clients or create presentations. And so every time that Microsoft sells one of these licenses, they make money. And so what will happen is that they will do mega deals with huge corporations with thousands of employees. And so these deals could be massive and worth tons amount of money. And so as you listen to this story, you kind of start to realize, like, oh, okay, there's a lot of money to potentially be made here because everyone needs software. A lot of businesses need software. And when they buy, they usually buy big. And this is the model that all tech companies run. Now, there are two types of business models out there. You don't really, this is not complicated. Um, it's really simple to understand once you understand it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But it's basically B2B versus B2C. And uh, most tech companies now do a little bit of both. Although every tech company wants to be in the B2B side because that's where the money is. So let me just break it down. B2B means business to business. So software companies that sell to other companies. Again, tech plays a pivotal role. Um, sorry, tech sales plays a pivotal role in these companies because someone has to run the sales calls. Someone has to do the demos, the product demos. Someone has to do the negotiations. And again, many software companies strive to be in the B2B space because that's where the money is. Businesses have a significantly larger wallet share or budget than a consumer ever would. And so as a result, the deal sizes are massive. When businesses buy, they buy big. And so this course is focused specifically again on tech sales. And so the emphasis of the programming will be more so on B2B, but nonetheless, it's important to understand both B2B and B2C, and you'll start to see it on websites too. You'll start to see their marketing, and you'll start to recognize, oh, this tech company focuses on B2B, this tech company focuses on B2C. And so getting into B2C basically means business to consumer. So these are the software companies that sell directly to people, to individuals. And that's the big difference here. Business to business means you sell to other businesses. Business to consumer means you sell to people, to individuals. And at these types of companies, there's usually no tech sales department because the customers can usually buy online. So, for example, companies like Spotify, Netflix, ChatGPT, Apple, if you want to buy anything from them or, get a subscription for Spotify, you can just do that on your own with a checkout. They don't employ salespeople at these types of companies because they're not needed. Your local grocery store is a perfect example of B2C because they sell directly to people and individuals. They don't sell to businesses. And so, because consumers have a limited amount of money, unlike businesses, the subscriptions tend to be affordable. So, for example, Netflix charges you $20 a month. And so those are the main business models that you will see in the tech industry: B2B versus B2C, B2B, massive deal sizes, lots of money, B2C, smaller deal sizes, but wider range of people that can buy. Um, Key roles within the tech industry. So, there's various roles, but these are the main ones that you'll kind of hear about over and over and over again. And it's really simple to understand what they do in the ecosystem. So let me explain. There are software and product teams. So software engineers and product managers, these are the people that create the software product. Then the marketing team steps in. They take care of demand generation and obviously marketing to market the product and generate interest, generate leads. Once that interest is generated, that's where the sales team steps in. So the sales reps do things like outreach, phone calls, demos, negotiations, contracts. They basically sell the software. And then after that, the support team steps in. Support team, self-explanatory. You've probably interacted with support teams in your anytime you need help with anything. The support team is there to answer any questions, troubleshoot problems. Then the customer success team is a little bit more hands-on. They will actually set up calls with clients and help them onboard onto the software and adopt the solution. So they'll train them so that they can actually get the most out of their investment and be happy, because happy customers buy again. And so the cycle perpetuates through these teams over and over again. Of course, there's many other departments within the tech industry, just like any other business. There's HR, there's accounting, there's finance, there's the cybersecurity team, etc. But at a high level, the main ones are the sales team. And again, this website and courses are specifically focused on tech sales, but what you learn will apply to all roles that you see here above, except the software and product roles, which I'll get into in a minute. These are more technical, and so they do require advanced degrees or advanced training or advanced knowledge that you wouldn't need to get in these other roles to break into the tech industry. And so I want to leave you with this because I get this question all the time, especially with AI now coming out. Um, Tech isn't going anywhere. There are tons of old school businesses and industries out there that are still behind the curve. And new innovation and technology gets created all the time, which usually replaces the older models of technology that are usually outdated and not working as good anymore. And so AI is great. I love it. I use ChatGPT all the time, but it's not going to kill the tech industry. In fact, it only makes it better. And again, all businesses need software because if there are problems, that usually means they need a solution. And the solution, usually in many cases, is software. And I put a picture of the construction industry here because I actually used to sell the construction industry. And what I found is that selling software to the construction industry was really difficult because a lot of the folks there that work in the construction industry tend to be old school. And so they don't want to buy technology because they're afraid that they're going to get confused or lost, and then they'll end up quitting and then not adopting the software. So there's tons of examples like that of businesses that are still relying on pen and paper, but then you introduce them to new technology and introduce them to software, and you realize, and you realize, and they realize just how much you can impact their business. And so Q&A and next steps. Again, any questions or answers, questions that you have, post them in the comment section below. I will answer them and I will prioritize them. Next steps, take a look at the links and resources included below the video. Look into the Tech Sales Fundamentals program that I have if you want to understand the day-to-day a little bit more, but hold off on that until you go through this program. I really want you to get fully acquainted with the tech industry first before you go and look into other resources. Think about your favorite app or your favorite online tool that you use, and then go to their website and see if they have a B2B component to their business. Because if you get the business model here, which isn't that complicated, you understand the tech industry. You already understand the tech industry more than 80% of people out there. And I also encourage you to think about software that you have used at prior companies or in prior roles. So for example, I worked with a student who came from working in coffee shops, and they used software to receive payment and tips. And so he was really well acquainted with payment software and actually ended up breaking into tech and getting a job at one of those software companies. So think about the software that you've had to use at other prior companies that your businesses have used or your employees have used. And then if you can think of a few examples, again, this is just going to further help you synthesize this information and understand it on a deeper level.